So welcome everyone to A Course in Miracles Satsang / meditation. So at the moment I'll be doing a little going through some lessons from A Course in Miracles, and we'll be focusing on the meditation part of it for meditation. So to start with, maybe just let your heart expand. Just feel love. Just feel like your heart enveloping everyone in the group. And just sit with that for a few minutes. So today's workbook lesson that we'll be going through is God is the strength in which I trust. And so what the guidance has been coming through for me to offer, I mean, obviously we're all here to be helpful, aren't we? But we can't decide for ourselves what is helpful. There's just nothing in our mind when we ask the ego what's helpful. It's just, it cannot come up with anything that's helpful. We have to trust. We have to have this silence and this stillness to really link in to this beautiful love and wisdom that will come through and speak through us and guide us. So as you know, I'll share something as I go through this lesson to give you some ideas around how to use this lesson. So as Course in Miracles students, I mean, every mind has the Holy Spirit and has the ego. We all have that available to us. So the Course in Miracles sort of way is to help you get in touch with that inner guide, the inner guidance, whether you want to call it Jesus, the Holy Spirit, or infinite wisdom, your true self, the self that knows everything. Something is that part of your mind that you open up to is going to come in and help you. And this lesson says, God is the strength in which I trust. So the Holy Spirit is part of God. God is just this infinite love and wisdom and holiness and divinity that isn't a body. It's just as words fail to point to it, but I'm trying to use words to point to it. It's vast, it's all encompassing. There's nowhere it's not. It's everything. There's nothing outside it and nothing within, because it's all one, it's all it. So when we had a misthought, the Holy Spirit was given like a rushing into our mind to answer this tiny sort of couple of little thoughts of guilt. And so this voice, or this, whether you want to call it intuition, a voice for God, a Holy Spirit, there's something within us that can help us. But our part is because we have that decision-making part of our mind. Our mind is very powerful and does decide what it wants to listen to. And so we have to use the power of that decision maker and take responsibility for what we're choosing in every moment. So it may feel that Holy Spirit voice or wisdom or comforting essence is very, it's like a muscle that hasn't been flexed, which we need to start to use so that it becomes something that we can rely on all the time. So this lesson is really coming to point to us about God is the strength in which I trust. And you might say God's voice is the voice in which I trust. So God is the strength in terms of that is your beingness in which you trust. So this Holy Spirit, this essence of wisdom and love, is in our mind, and it is there to help us. And we have to make time to develop that relationship to listening, and it has to be with a really strong yearning of our heart, the calling of our heart, that we want to hear it, and we're going to get quiet to hear it, and we're going to trust what we hear. So this is, if you are experiencing any anxiety, any fear, any depression, whatever you want to call the state of mind that's not feeling peaceful and happy, then this is such a wonderful lesson to really hear about what the problem is and what the answer is. So I'm going to start reading, and Shannon and I will read paragraphs each. So Shannon, for anyone new, Shannon is my co-host and will help read today, but I've sort of received a lot of information about things to point to and stress about this lesson that can be really helpful. It's so easy to whiz through the lessons, like let's get my lesson done and out of the way so I can get on with my day. But if you're joining in this group, he's asking me to go through these lessons very slowly. And so I've been given a few lessons already, but you're welcome to put on the Zoom to Miracles group any lesson you'd like me to go through in detail. So God is the strength in which I trust. If you are trusting your own strength, you have every reason to be apprehensive, anxious, and fearful. So we have to say to ourselves that any time we're anxious, we are trusting in our own strength. We're trying to make things happen or come up with our own way of working through a situation, or to help with a relationship, or anything in our lives. What can you predict or control? What is there in you that can be counted on? So I want you to start to just think, what can I count on? And you'll come up with nothing. But this is the only answer here, that the strength of God is what we need to count on. And it's not easy to it's not easy to do straight away, but as you build up that trust, you build that trust in that strength within you, that voice, that wisdom, the essence of God in the end, because your mind will merge with the love of God and the wisdom and what you need to do and where to go and what to say will just be there. The portal is opened and everything's flowing through. What would give you the ability to be aware of all the facets of any problem and to resolve it in such a way that only good can come of it? So can we be aware of all the facets of every problem? Everything that we think of as problems, say you need to get a job, or you want to change jobs, or you want to move house, or you're feeling something else, you know, whatever, even if you're suffering sickness, what is within you that can help you get through to what you really want, which is obviously peace of mind? What is there about you that gives you the recognition of the right solution and guarantees that it will be accomplished? The reason why I'm going through this line by line is that it really makes you stop and think about what we are faced with. Now, even though we're told this is a dream world, there is a way from where we are experiencing this world as real and true to get into that state of mind where we travel lighter in the world but not of it. So this whole paragraph is really coming to say to ourselves, yes, I am not, I'm scared about my problem-solving ability. I'm not sure that if I take this plan that it's going to work, and I'm unsure. Back in one of the early lessons, he asks us to look at all the things that we think should happen. And then he says, when you start thinking about it, you start thinking that may not be what I want. So this is sort of all part of this start of this paragraph here. He's really wanting us to notice how apprehensive, anxious and fearful we are when we try to basically use the ego to solve some situations, relationships, whatever it is that you're looking to do. So just in my own situation, that's why I've been just doing the silent meditations over the last few months, was because I'm executor of my dad's estate after he died. And I mean, this is worldly stuff, but I was guided to take this on. And I knew it wasn't about anything to do with the day-to-day divvying up of what the estate holds. I had a feeling it was to do with the relationships with my brothers and sisters, and being more, because since I had that awakening, I haven't really had a lot to do with my brothers and sisters, been mainly in Course in Miracles groups. I mean, I've been around my family and friends a lot because I was guided not to change anything about my life. But this has sort of brought me into a lot of contact with every brother and sister. So I'm one of 6 children in this lifetime. I've got an older brother and sister and a younger sister and 2 brothers. 3 brothers, 3 sisters. I'm the middle daughter. So, and there has been a lot of unfairly treated egoic ideas in everyone's minds. So even though I look like I'm the administrator of the estate, I'm really the administrator of love and peace and kindness, and there's been a lot of projection onto me. And so I've had to use this lesson really deeply. Everything comes into deepen trust. There's been a lot of things that I've never done in a state before. There's been a lot of things I've had to ask about. I haven't done any sort of admin accounting type work for many years. And it's, when you're living in the peace of God, it's like, so it takes me probably 2 hours to do something that might take someone half an hour, because I've been drawing on those skills when I was an accountant to do this. So it's not been easy, because I'm really just wanting to sit in this love and being guided. No, sit down. You've got to do this work. So it's really important. And I've been asked to share about this because is so much ideas that when you're awakened or on a spiritual path, that you have to give up everything. And this has been what his messages has been. I want you to go through all these so-called things of the world to demonstrate to everyone who's listening to you that you're going through them and you're peaceful and I'm leading you. So sometimes I'll wake up and I'll think, oh, I've got a lot of work to do today. I'll sit down at the computer for a few hours, and then I ask him and he says, no, take the day off today, do something else. So generally, the reason why I wanted to share that was because there is quite a lot of work involved, and it's been since July last year, and the estate should wrap up around March, April this year. And so I'm a demonstration that you can seemingly do worldly things, because I keep saying to, I call sort of Jesus and the Holy Spirit, they're sort of mixed together. I'm just saying, why am I doing this? I'm not interested in worldly things. And he keeps reminding me, it's not about that. It's about being there for your brothers and sisters. And so now that I'm getting sort of more towards the end of what this little task is, I've started to see the responses of my brothers and sisters now have really changed. My older brother was extremely agitated and angry towards my dad and different things in how things went along. And he's really come to be really lovely and peaceful and accepting. Everybody has settled down now. And first of all, they thought I was very, the ego sort of projects, I'm very naive because I loved my dad with God's love. And of course, my dad was still in his ego mind quite a bit up until he passed. We've got to remember, this is not about achieving anything in a world that doesn't exist. This is about us being guided to do what we're guided to do. So I am now just going to continue on to help my brothers and sisters in any way I can through just coming to see my dad differently, how I see him. So there's been little changes of their awareness and their perception through the peace of God through me. So that's what we're talking about here. So we'll continue on. I'd like to share a little bit more about the specifics of this, how you can apply it. So Shannon, would you like to read on? Thanks.
Sure. Thank you, Cate. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that too. It's so wonderful. And we don't really even know most of the time when we follow guidance what it's for. We just follow and then we maybe find out later and maybe not. But it's always has to do with what Kate said, which is just allowing love to be extended through us in whatever circumstance we find ourselves in. So yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, paragraph 2. Of yourself, you can do none of these things. To believe that you can is to put your trust where trust is unwarranted, and to justify fear, anxiety, depression, anger, and sorrow. Who can put his faith in weakness and feel safe? Yet who can put his faith in strength and feel weak?
Thank you, Shannon. God is your safety in every circumstance. His voice speaks for him in all situations and in every aspect of all situations. So this is a really important line, because sometimes we can think, okay, I basically, when I got guidance to take over and do the estate, winding up the estate, I was like, I don't know why you're getting me to do this. And then I started to think, well, this is outside the scope of the Holy Spirit, because it's, selling properties and working with solicitors and accountants. And I was very quickly guided, do not exclude me from this and trust me. So this is, his voice speaks for him in all situations and in every aspect of all situations. Every aspect of all situations, he will guide us. So that's what I've been doing. So not only when we go about these situations, because I've not done it before, he's guided me on everything I've needed to do, and I'm trusting in that guidance. And when he says, don't do anything today, I don't do anything. I trust that, even though I've got a whole list of things to do. I'm trusting. And then I see later on, as Shannon said, we can't always see why we're doing it, but we see later on little things of why we left it. So I want to make this really practical for everyone, so you don't think that it's trusting in this voice is airy-fairy. But our part is to really say, I'm not going to push ahead and trust my own decisions and responses. This ties in with rules for decision as well, remember, because he says, think about the happy day and then listen to that guidance. So we all have a guide in our mind that knows when we're meant to do something or when we're not meant to do it, or what to say or what not to say. It will tell us to be quiet sometimes. It will tell us to just give someone a hug, or it will tell us to listen. And it will give us words to say that may not be things that you thought you would say. So this is the lesson that's really going to strengthen our dedication to listening and not going off trying to make our own decisions, because he wants us to see that if we do need a job and we need to earn more money or something, the only way we're ever going to, our plan is going to be relying on the past. So we really need to let go and ask. We need to keep asking and sit by and wait for the answer. Sit by and pause and ask him to help us. Okay, I've got to do something on a share registry. I don't know about shares, the stock market, right? So I ask him, tell me what to do. And sometimes it'll be to call up the phone number on the screen. So I want you to know this guidance is going to be very helpful for everybody and everything. And it can't exclude computers and solicitors and accountants and different things, because it's all the same to him. And we are living in the world, so we are going to be dealing with these things. We can't say, oh no, that's not spiritual, I'm shying away from that. You know, the stock market doesn't sound spiritual to me. And we have to let go of these ideas. I mean, this world was over long ago, but he's got us as a voice in the world, helping. And why we think we are here and why we feel we're in a body, we're going to be used. And so all I'm saying is this is what I've been guided to share in the ways, because I'm like, when I started, I'm like, what is this for? Why don't I just give it over to some company to do this estate? He said, no, you have to do it. There was a little bit of resistance there, right? But this is the thing. He says in a couple of other places in the course where, you know, I will help you. I will be with you. So this is the message I want to share to everyone. Don't think that there's anything that's above. There's no situation that he can't help you with, the specifics. So here he says his voice speaks for him in all situations. So remember, there's no situation outside the guidance that you can get to help you. And, you know, remember the quote that he helped Helen buy. So it's like the message will come in. You'll just see a picture, or you'll hear a word, or you'll remember a conversation with somebody mentioning something. The thing will come into your mind. If you just sit quietly, it will come, the answer will come, and you'll just say, oh yes, I know what to do now. There are no exceptions. So there are no exceptions to this, no matter where I mean, there's 45 people here, so there's no exceptions to anything that you are looking at the moment or doing that he can't give you an answer for. The only issue is if you're asking from an ego perspective, you may not hear an answer. The answer to any ego idea is the truth. That's the truth will come in. So there are no exceptions because God makes no exceptions, and the voice which speaks for him thinks as he does. So he doesn't want us to waste our time. He's not getting me to waste time thinking about the shares or the stock market or stocks. You know, it's like he's not getting me to be interested in them and follow them. I just need to find where to get some values of them. You know, I don't know where to find out what they're worth on a particular day. So there's guidance, and that I was guided where to ask this particular person, and he showed me where to go. So little things like that. But so this particular lesson is really about, of course, our main guidance is correction of our perception. But this particular lesson is about help with situations we're in, whether it be, as I said before, about relationships or work or all these little things that we find ourselves needing to do. So God is your safety in every circumstance. Okay, so I'll get Shannon to read the next paragraph. Thanks, Shannon.
Thank you, Cate. Today we will try to reach past your own weakness to the source of real strength. 4 5-minute practice periods are necessary today, and longer and more frequent ones are urged. Close your eyes and begin as usual by repeating the idea for the day. Then spend a minute or two in searching for situations in your life which you have invested with fear, dismissing each one by telling yourself, God is the strength in which I trust.
Right. So I'm going to give you some time to do this now. I'll repeat those instructions. Thanks, Shannon. I'll repeat those instructions as you go. So we'll sit quietly, and I want to really expand on this so that you can really make this particular time that you're doing this lesson really worthwhile. Okay, we want to find all the situations in our life at the moment where we have invested fear, where we're concerned, apprehensive, anxious, or fearful, right? So I want you to spend a couple of minutes looking at each situation. And as you bring that situation up in your mind, I want you to dismiss it and say to yourself, God is the strength in which I trust. Okay, so here we go. We'll give a couple of minutes over to doing that little exercise. You might like to think about any relationship that you're feeling you want changed, you think it could be better. Think about your home situation, money, work, friends, family, health. Any situation that you have been thinking about where you think it would be nice if this would change, or I just need some help. We have to notice the situation. We have to really notice how when we try to figure it out for ourselves, that this frustration, apprehension, we're not sure how to proceed, anxious and fearful. it's very important for you to notice that when you try to figure it out for yourself, that that's there. Because if you don't notice that, you're not going to really choose the strength of God instead, because you're still going to think that you can know the answer to any situation that arises and the specifics of the situation. So I want you to really, really feel into the fear and the anxiety, the annoyance, the anger, whatever it is. Apprehension is probably a good one, because you're like, oh, I don't know how to proceed. And that's when you get fearful, because you don't know what to do, because you're deciding for yourself, which is really deciding for the egoic mind that doesn't know. So we're going to move on to the next part of this lesson. So the other thing, just before we move on, I want you to feel into, as you look at how you've tried to solve situations, I want you to feel into the feeling of being inadequate to solve it, to get what you want or what you'd like. It's very important. The guidance that I had was to focus on the word of inadequacy. You need to feel that you don't feel adequate enough to handle it. And you're probably trying to get rid of it or think, I don't want to deal with it. I don't have the ideas or the skills. I'm somehow inadequate to deal with this situation or this relationship or your health or whatever. So focus on the feeling of being inadequate. These things have to come into our awareness because we want to choose against it, because we have to see the inadequacy that we're feeling from thoughts that say we're inadequate. Now try to slip past all concerns related to your sense of inadequacy. It is obvious that any situation which causes you concern is associated with feelings of inadequacy, since otherwise you would believe that you could deal with the situation successfully. It is not by trusting yourself that you will gain confidence, but the strength of God in you is successful in all things. The recognition of your own frailty is a necessary step in the correction. So this is important. We have to see how we feel, how we don't feel adequate, how we feel that frailty of trying to deal with it. We think about it, we try to plan for it. So Jesus is saying here that we have to recognize how hopeless we feel, how apprehensive we are. It's a necessary step in the correction of your errors, but it could hardly be sufficient one in giving you the confidence you need and to which you are entitled. You must also gain an awareness that confidence in your real strength is fully justified in every respect and in all circumstances. I'll read that again. You must also gain an awareness that confidence in your real strength, which is connecting to the voice for God, the voice of Jesus, whether it be his love or wisdom, something that comes through that helps you in this situation as it arises. So you must also gain an awareness that confidence in your real strength is fully justified in every respect and in all circumstances. See, once again, he's saying in all circumstances, there's nothing outside this that we can get help from. We can ask for help and get help in everything. Selling a house, that to sell a house, and he guided me all the way through it. I've sold many houses in the past and he's guided me. It's not about making money, by the way. It's got nothing to do with it. It's the guidance is around connecting with the agent. It's all about the relationships and who you can bless. And it could be about there's many facets to it about, where the money's going to go and it's going to happen. But he knows where we are. In his course, he talks about the world in a lot of detail. He knows where we think we are. I know that there's this sort of phrase that says God doesn't know about you or where you are, but he does know. He's telling us right now, he knows our situation in everything. He's connected to our mind. He knows what's happening. This is a script, and we're either going to go through the script with the ego or go through it with the Holy Spirit. And each one is already done. In the latter phase of the practice period, now I'll get you to do this as we'll go into our meditation now. So we're going to go into a 40-minute meditation. The reason why it's 40 minutes is it can take you 10 or 15 minutes to calm your mind, and sometimes half an hour. So the last 10 minutes could be where you hit the bliss, you hit that peace. And he's guided me to make it that long. So we've done the preliminary work. We've seen how we can't figure anything out, how apprehensive we are. Now, close your eyes and I'll lead you through the start of this meditation. I'll just put my timer on. I'm going to start it now and I'm just going to lead you in with some words. Okay. I want you to try to reach down into your mind to a place of real safety. You will recognize that you have reached it if you feel a deep peace, even briefly. Let go all the trivial things that churn and bubble on the surface of your mind and reach down and below them to the kingdom of heaven. There is a place in you where there is perfect peace. There is a place in you where nothing is impossible. There is a place in you where the strength of God abides. Remember that peace is your right because you are giving your trust to the strength of God. So we're going to reach down in our mind to that deep peace. 40 minutes. Okay. Just gently bring your mind back. Just try to maintain that beautiful experience of deep peace. You most likely won't want to return from that. So to finish up, just want to just say a few more comments about this lesson. So what it gets us to do is to really focus on how we are apprehensive and anxious in trying to work out solutions for the things that we think need working out. And he asks us to say, God is the strength in which I trust, as the answer. And then he gets us to quieten our mind and go deeply into the peace of God. So why does he ask us to spend time dropping really deeply into peace as an answer for this, to find the strength of God within us? And it's because that strength brings that trust to ask him and be able to hear it in all circumstances. So this deepening into letting go of the trivial things of the world and dropping our minds right down deep into this deep peace is useful, because what it does is it quietens the egoic mind and it helps us to hear the answers when we need them, when we come back into the world and start seemingly doing things. When I was talking about asking for guidance around different things to do with managing the so-called wrapping up of an estate, I wasn't asking for help to get the best money, to get approval from my brothers and sisters. So I wanted to make this important point that when your one desire is for the peace of God and to know God and to have the peace of God and to be a demonstration of that to others, and just to basically your whole world is about being the representation of Christ in the world. You go about these particular situations that seem worldly, but what is it for? What is its true purpose? And your mind won't have the usual purposes, like the ego's purposes for things. It will have a different purpose. So getting the guidance for the little things, the minutiae, is helpful, is going to come through to your mind when you need it, because you have dedicated to being a miracle worker. You've dedicated yourself to undoing the egoic mind, to listening into the Holy Spirit, to being truly helpful. So I wanted to make it clear that because that's my one dedication for this life, the guidance will come through for all the little things of the world and the little things that I need to do and know how to do when I ask. So just like Helen Schuckman, when she was taking down the course, she was guided by Jesus to give over all the little things to him, what he calls the minutiae, which means the miniature, the small things. And she needed a winter coat. And he knew where she could get one that she liked and wanted, the type of coat she was picturing in her mind. And he would have guided her when to go, when would be a good time to go, etc. So the one thing, this guidance and this trusting in the strength of God, it's not about trying to, if you have an ego goal, it won't work. The Holy Spirit will only correct you if you have an ego goal. This comes in when you're in an alignment with love. So when I was talking about the example I was given about knowing, just getting guided where to go to get information off the internet, and Helen guided where to find a coat, really this work is about asking him for correction. And that goes along with the guidance. So he's going to correct us if we start to get any egoic goals in situations with relationships with people. He's not going to guide you how to get them to change. We have to ask him for another perception, which is the shift in perception. I just want to make sure that that's very clear in this discussion on this particular lesson, so there's no confusion. This lesson is about once we've committed in and we desire the peace of God, he will help us get the little things, help us with what we need to do. And how we get that help is by quietening our minds through this particular meditation. So if you feel that you're not hearing the voice for God, you're asking for help in situations, just take some time away. Let the trivial things of the world, let them go and sink down deep. Give over some time to enter into that peace, and that will help you hear the voice of the Holy Spirit. Because you've quietened the ego mind down. And remember that the answer can come through in many ways. Try not to hold this idea about how answers come in. Okay, so that's what I wanted to clarify. All right, I hope you've enjoyed this very slow and detailed way of going through this lesson. I just love this lesson. It's so, so helpful. And I'm just honoured and blessed to just bring these words through and to give over this time for this. And so I feel so much gratitude for everyone that's turned up today. Thank you so much for participating and spending this time to really let go of this ego's world, to let go of the trivial things, and to really be that miracle worker. We really do need, the Christ mind more and more, to be aware, to help others, to bring them in, to show them that this Course in Miracles teachings, Jesus' teachings, do work by our practice of it, by our demonstration of a peaceful, happy mind. So thank you, everyone. Let's just stay quiet and just extend gratitude and love to everyone here. How wonderful it is to see our brothers really dedicated to undoing this little tricky ego mind that is really nothing but a fear thought. The ego is nothing but a little thought, and without our belief, it has no power. It's like a tiny little match to the Son of God. So, thank you, everyone. I love you, I bless you, and I honour you. Thanks for joining today. And this recording will be up on YouTube during the week. Thank you, everyone. Love and blessings. Thank you, Shannon. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.